Good afternoon. So we've talked a number of times about all the ICAC stings that are going on out there, and I've been reading a lot of the comments that people have made on my site and others, and there's a lot of talk about, oh, when did this start happening? It seems like every other day we're seeing this, and the truth is, sexual impropriety has been going on since the dawn of time. And in an earlier era, let's say our grandparents' age, my grandparents, let's say the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, it was going on then too. I know this because I study history, I've read about it, and I have received messages from people who are near, well, they're in their declining years, let's put it that way, all around the world, and they tell me, what they did when they were a youth, and not as an exploitative thing, although that happens, but the point is it happens, and it's not a new thing. What's new is never before have we been so connected that we can find out about these things instantaneously. And there's more of a willingness to talk about exploitative behavior than there has ever been. And I think that that has a lot to do with it. Well, we learned from Robert Sciana's book that a lot of exploitation occurs right out in the open, as if we didn't know that through the literature and through the other news reports that are not the proactive stings. We hear about this all the time. And we hear about it in the so-called pure areas where previously they were known as the wholesome activities, Boy Scouts, church activity, church youth activities, gymnastics and football and other sports. And yet those are the areas over and over and over again we hear about it. And as Robert Sciana reminds us in his book, both when he was a teen competing as a gymnast and in cheer, we also have a lot of corruption in areas that don't get a lot of attention, like cheer. We've seen it in USA Gymnastics. We have seen it in the Penn State Sandusky affair. We've seen it here in Virginia, in the western part of the state, with this coach who's apparently on the run. We've heard it all over the place, and we don't need to revisit that. But I do want to share with you where the police don't trot out press reports quite the way they do with the proactive stings. And I think the reason is, as I've said before, the proactive stings they get more bang for the buck. It's longer, more time consuming, more resources to go out there in the deep and dark web. It takes longer, perhaps, there, and perhaps shorter time on investigations that are closer to home, but then you get one or two. Okay. But when you can net hundreds, as they did in California recently, or you can trot out as JD Grud, Shady Grady Judd in Polk County, who was elected shortly after I left some time ago. Um, you also have advertisements for why you ought to be reelected. Okay. And it's only when you have something really egregious that it really comes to the head. Grady Judd is in the Epstein files, apparently. And according to one young victim, and this is not according to me, but according to supposedly FBI files, one young victim claimed that when she reported this to Judd and when she was in his custody and control, he sexually abused her. We don't know this, but you hear a lot about it, and these trolls and vigilantes don't mobilize to go after these folks because they're trying to get legitimacy with the police. Why would they attack them? And the politicians, why would they attack them? Hence, their relative quiet on the Epstein front. So I want to share with you a local tidbit which really shows more where these actually occur, where there's actual non-consensual abuse occurring. It's not so much on the proactive stings. It's not so much in other venues that the police would argue, like the Romeo and Juliet cases, which they call the CP cases sometimes. And I had somebody hit me up on another site saying, "What are you talking about? This doesn't happen with 18-year-olds." Yes, yes, it does. 18 and 19-year-olds. Do a little investigation. I advise this person. So let's look at one of these cases that the police are not going to talk about in the way that they should. Okay? And this is coming up here right now. You can see here now available Anne Arundel County cheer camp owner arrested for abuse of a minor. So this is a coach who is running a competitive, cheer operation, and there was a 9-year-old child. We don't know the sex of the child for some reason, but a 9-year-old child in his custody and control for a lot of time. You have to spend lots of time. Probably a little talented child, sexually abused. We don't know the anything about this victim, okay? But that he was arrested as a result of this. So I just want to show you these are the cases that the police don't talk about quite so much because it doesn't give them as much bang for the buck. That's my argument. You can hit me back if you disagree, and you can provide your evidence because I keep being told I need to provide my sources. And when I do, they're ignored. And when I don't, there are complaints. So here you go. Hit me back. Let me know what you think about this. Have a good day.